similar, like parallel destinies, you know. The
Yeah.
more we talk and the more that we hang out, you know, on the phone, online, in
Yep.
person, you know, it's just like everything is synchronistic. Hello, and welcome to Spiritual Storytime with Rose. We're back again for our um, third video in this new vlog that I've got. And if you remember how I was wanting to manifest bringing other people into the story time with Rose, the spiritual story time with Rose, and it works. So I asked my dear friend Jamie to come join me and share one of her books that has changed her life a lot. We were just shooting the shit a little bit and talking, and so, yeah, we're going to shoot the shit some more. We're going to talk about all fun things spiritually and everything that we want to manifest. And with this new moon conjunct Jupiter in Gemini. And yes, so this is super exciting stuff. So, welcome and thank you for being here and thank you for watching. So, this is my friend Jamie. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here, Rose. Thank you for inviting me. I am a bioenergetic practitioner. My business is Jamie K Wellness, and I work in the energetic body of my clients. The book that I chose for today is The Universe is Talking to You. It's Tap into Signs and Synchronicity by Tammy Mastroberte. This is one of the first like woo-woo universe books that I read. It was a gift from a friend, and it really made a big impact for me, and it changed how I was looking at my everyday life. So when you asked me to pick a chapter out of a book, at first I was like, there's so many, right? And then I remembered reading this book and the changes that came about in my life from it. So I picked a chapter from here.
Oh, that's so awesome. So let me ask you, how long ago did you become accustomed to this book? Did it come to you?
It was in 2021, I believe. It was written in 1999. No, oh my goodness. 2019.
Okay, it was written in 2019.
2019, yeah. But I
Okay.
think I got it in 2021.
Okay. And were you already on your seeking spirituality path at this time when that book came to you?
Yes, I was. And I had shared with my friend that I read a book. I had gone to IIN for
What's
health
that?
coaching. IIN is Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Okay.
So I'd done health coaching school there, and is it Joshua Rosenthal who started that school? I think that's his name. He wrote a couple of books, and one of them was about synchronicities. And it was just a little short book, but I loved it. So I was telling her about that, and then the next thing I know, this was in my mailbox. And it was so this lady, Tammy, the author, her mother died when she was I think in her early 20s. And she, that kind of, people sometimes have like a near-death experience or a cancer scare, something that changes the trajectory of their life. And for her, it was her mother passing when she was a young adult. And she had grown up Catholic, and she had a certain way of looking at the world. And when her mom was gone, that kind of opened her up to looking at other ways, because you want your mom to still be there, right? So she was seeing signs from her mom. She went to a psychic, trying to just reconnect with her mom, and then she started seeing signs, and then she started learning about spirit guides and how to connect and how to pay attention, because we're always getting signs. Like, the signs are always coming in all day long, and it's not for only the special people, it's for every single person, right? You just have to pay attention. So I really like reading this book. Is like she's just telling you a story, so it was really easy to read, and it made perfect sense, and it really changed how I went about my day.
Nice. That sounds similar to something that I went through with some books. The Celestine Prophecy. Have you ever heard of that?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that
it's
first one was on synchronicities and stuff like that. So I can kind of relate to what you're talking about, seeing the signs. And yeah,
seeing.
once you feel like, once they're, and I think what it took for me was to get a confirmation. And once I got a confirmation to something that had was in my awareness, then it was like, okay. And then you start seeing them everywhere, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's like trusting, I think the biggest obstacle for most people is they're always second guessing themselves. Well, okay, I saw that, but was that really a sign, or was that my imagination, or whatever? You just have to not question. You just take it, say yes, and then see what's next, right? So that's the hardest part, I think. Is
I
learning
agree.
to trust yourself, trust the universe.
Yeah, absolutely. I have found that life has become so much more magical when you say yes to life, and
Yes,
just not saying
yeah,
yes to just the good stuff, but you got to say yes to all of life.
all
Because
the
if you're
stuff.
saying yes to just the good stuff, then whatever bad stuff that comes in, you're missing a lesson that you could be
That
learning.
is, yeah, that's in this chapter. So
Oh, is it?
I reread the chapter this morning, and that's in there, which I talk to people all the time about, the bad things, the negative things, there are opportunities for growth and lessons, right? And they change. Something that feels bad in the moment is happening for you, right? So your job is to figure out what's the lesson, or to see whenever you get the rest of the picture, in hindsight, you can go, oh, well, that thing that felt horrible at the time was actually the best thing that ever happened to me, because it put me on this other path. And this place is even more wonderful than I would have even asked for on my own, right? So trusting the universe.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, we are so much alike in in this whole sense. I'm so glad that you're here with me on this call today. So let's get to it. What you got for us?
All right, well, let's get started. So I'm going to read chapter 2 of this book, The Magic of Signs and Synchronicity. And it starts with a quote from Deepak Chopra. Tune into the presence of miracles, and in an instant, life can be transformed into a dazzling experience, more wondrous and exciting than we could ever imagine. Ignore it, and an opportunity is gone forever.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
That's so true. That's so
so
true.
true.
Don't ignore it. Don't ignore the signs.
Exactly. Okay, so no doubt you have heard the term synchronicity before, but do you really understand what it is, how it works, and why it's so magical? Even if you have never received a sign from a loved one or the universe before, I'm sure you've heard other people talk about it. But are you aware that we are all receiving them, and that all includes you? Both synchronicity and signs are gifts bestowed upon us from the universe, and they are not reserved for a chosen few or for those with a psychic gift. They are available to each and every person in this physical world and are meant to help our soul navigate this temporary existence as a human being. The universe, our loved ones on the other side, the angels, and our guides use signs and synchronicity to communicate with us, direct us, guide us, and even reroute us when we are heading down a wrong path. Which
Mm.
that doesn't, I mean, thinking about it like that makes the world feel safer to navigate. Like I have guidance. I have somebody helping me all the time. I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
feels great, right? And it's
Yeah.
and it's true. Okay. In
It
some
feels a
cases,
little like anxiety soothing,
yes, very
because
much.
there's always the what if that causes the anxiety. Like, what if this? What if this is going to happen? What if this? But if we can just step back from the what if and take a deep breath and know that we are being supported
Yeah.
by something greater than ourselves, and just have faith in that, yeah, it seems to soften any feelings of anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. And the perspective of everything is always happening for me, it changes how
Mm-hmm.
you go through things. So instead of having that running down that mental path of, well, what if this happens? And then this happens, and then this happens. It's, well, what if this happens? Well, if this happens, then I'll figure out what to do, and there's a reason for it, right? So I don't have to have all the answers right now. I just have to take the step that's right in front of me and
Yeah.
trust.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree because that's the mindset I took when I was at a stop on the freeway in the beginning of March and got rear-ended. And I'm still healing from it, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I was out of work for 2 months, and I decided, I don't want to go back to work. I had the mindset from the very moment, like, this isn't happening to me, it's happening for me. So that shifted my whole mindset to go, what good is coming from this?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Not
opens up your
my bed
eyes.
and miserable and stuff. Yeah, it
Yeah,
happened for me. And otherwise I wouldn't be here with you doing this. And
exactly.
I mean, look at the magic. All
Yeah,
right, I'll shut up.
the magic. Okay. In some cases, our guides and loved ones are on the other side, helping us as part of their job and their own soul growth. I don't believe we stop growing and evolving after we make our transition out of the physical body. It's just that taking on a human body and experiencing life in the physical world helps us advance much faster because it's so much harder here, which is so true, right? The other side, where our souls return after physical death, is pure love and peace compared to the contrast and pain we experience here as a human being. These beliefs are based on what I've been told time and time again by friends who are mediums, and from interviewing so many top mediums for the magazine. She had an online magazine called Elevated Existence for several years, all of whom get their information from the souls who have transitioned to the other side. The unfortunate piece of this puzzle is that many people don't understand the power of these gifts of signs and synchronicities, the power these gifts of signs and synchronicities hold, or how to recognize them and understand them when they arrive. As a result, these presents remain unwrapped, and the joy, reassurance, and direction they provide us remains unclaimed. It's not our fault, though. We were never taught how to recognize or understand the way the universe and our loved ones communicate with us. It's not like it's an elective you can choose in high school next to the options for woodworking and ceramics. For most of us, it's not until we mature and start to long for more meaning in our life, asking deeper questions and exploring our belief systems, that we begin to realize this communication is possible. For me, the catalyst into a spirituality beyond religion was the death of my mom. For others, it's the diagnosis of an illness, a divorce, or some other life-altering experience that sends them on a search. Something brought you to this book, and that means that you are ready to learn the language of the universe and your loved ones on the other side. Don't worry if you haven't claimed the gifts they sent you in the past. The universe and your loved ones, guides, and angels are standing by right now, waiting to send you more. Trust me, they are thrilled that you are reading this book and ready to open up to them. Remember, they want to help you, and it's your divine right to accept their assistance. Okay, so then she goes through to explain what is a synchronicity and then what is a sign. So, Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst Carl Jung came up with the term synchronicity in the 1920s as part of his work as an analytical psychologist. The word describes the experience of two or more events being meaningfully related, although the events don't have to be exactly simultaneous in time. In other words, you can discover synchronicities that occur and connect within the same day, week, or month, but they can also be years apart and still be meaningfully related. Jung called these events meaningful coincidences, where one event did not actually cause the other, but they are still connected. For example, when I was in college, I worked part-time as a receptionist for a chiropractor in the evenings. The owners hired a new employee the summer before my senior year, and she would make a lot of mistakes and leave them for me to fix. Over time, friction developed between the two of us, and I became very unhappy working there. I was majoring in English with a concentration in writing, and because I was so unhappy, I decided to look for a different part-time job that would give me experience in the writing field. At the time, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my writing degree, but I knew writing came easily to me. Plus, I enjoyed it and was good at it. I started searching the local newspaper. That is how I found a job in 1998 and discovered a magazine publishing company looking for a part-time editorial assistant not far from where I lived. It said college students were welcome, so I applied, interviewed, and got the job. 1 year later, upon graduation, they offered me a full-time position as an assistant editor. This is how I began my career in the magazine industry, and it started with me becoming very unhappy in a former job. So that lines right up with what we were saying. The uncomfortable things are what push us to do the change, right? When we're comfortable, even if we're not on our path, well, it's comfortable. I'll just keep doing this. When we get uncomfortable, then we're finally like, okay, I'm ready for something different. This is uncomfortable enough that I will make some change. Okay.
Like a nudge.
Yes, it's a nudge. And if you don't listen to the nudge eventually becomes a kick or a push or a punch. Let's trace the synchronicity that happened over more than a year's time. First, after working for 3 years for the chiropractor and being very happy there, a new hire changed the dynamic. This pushed me to find another job, one that would help me find a job in writing after I graduated. There happened to be a local publishing company looking to hire a part-time college student, and I got the job. Then they offered me a full-time position once I graduated. So when most college graduates are searching for a position, I had one waiting for me. This gave me the experience I needed to get a higher paying job and a better title at a new company the following year. And that is where I met the woman who is now the art director of Elevated Existence magazine, which is her magazine. It was years between me looking for that initial job and me creating the magazine, but it all connects. The events are all meaningfully related, and they all led me to where I am today. When I was going through the turmoil that caused me to look for a new job, it was upsetting and frustrating, but it was meant to be. It was the friction I needed to push me forward and into my future in the magazine industry. When we are going through challenges that upset us, it's hard to understand why it's happening or what we did to cause or deserve it. But often it's pushing us to take action and to move in a direction where something even more amazing is waiting. That is how the universe works, and that's why I say even the situations in our life that seem negative are really for our own highest good. In addition to tracing synchronistic events over 1 year or several years, they can also happen within a much shorter time span. Let's say you decide you want to start practicing yoga, and you look online to find a studio near your home. You decide to sign up, and that night a friend calls you and mentions she coincidentally looked into the same yoga studio the prior week. You make plans to go together, and now you are more likely to stick with the practice because you have one another to attend class with and can hold each other accountable. That is the universe reinforcing to both of you that you were on the right track and should be adding yoga to your life. Plus, it paired you up so that you could help one another get to the classes. Synchronicity shows us nothing is chance or coincidental. The people you meet, the ideas you get, or solutions crossing your path, the places you go, it's all leading you somewhere. It's all for your benefit. No, it doesn't always seem that way. In fact, it usually doesn't seem that way when the events are unfolding before you, but the universe and your angels and guides really are leading you and guiding you. And if you give them enough time, the meaning will usually present itself. So that's synchronicities. Now we'll move on to signs. Unlike synchronicity, which is 2 or more events that connect in some way, a sign is often a single occurrence. Do some signs repeat in a synchronistic way? Yes. But many stand on their own, and the universe will use them to get us an answer or wake us up to something we should be paying attention to for our highest good. For example, let's say you're having a bad day. Maybe you're fighting with your significant other or just feeling lonely and unloved. You decide to go for a walk outside in a nearby park and take a path you don't normally take. As you are walking, you see "You are loved" written on the ground in chalk, and you feel goosebumps on your arms as your eyes well up with tears. That is a sign meant to comfort you. There have been so many times I've come across a random heart shape on the ground or in food, and I take each and every one as a sign of love. In my synchronistic story from the last chapter about landing Deepak Chopra for the magazine, my getting a coupon in my email when I was contemplating if I should attend the retreat at the Chopra Center was a sign for me to go ahead and book it. If you're thinking about going to Italy on your next vacation, and then while you're scrolling through Facebook, you see that someone just came back from there and posted pictures, that's a sign to look into the trip, especially if you have never seen anyone post about Italy in all your years of social media. While writing this book, my cousin called to tell me about this strange thing that happened to him when walking out of the building where he works. A guy walking out behind him made a joke about him being dressed as a Secret Service person since he was in a suit and dark glasses. My cousin held the door for him, and the guy stopped and said he had something to give him. He handed him a white sheet of paper with the title, "A Blessing," and went on his way. It was a typed note asking him to recognize the power of his soul and to remember he is not alone. There was no signature or company name on it. It was a simple blessing this man shared with him because he held the door open for him. Unhappy with his current job, it is exactly what he needed to hear. Our loved ones often use a single sign to get our attention, whether it's to get a message across or just to let us know they are around. I remember one time when I was feeling very stressed and overwhelmed, I accidentally stepped on the cordless phone laying on the bedroom floor. I sighed, annoyed at the phone and myself for leaving it there. But when I picked it up, I noticed my foot dialed the numbers 0509. That was my mother's birthday, May 9th. I immediately knew she was around and letting me know everything would be fine. Life-changing benefits. So now that you know more about signs and synchronicity, can you see why I'm so passionate about this topic? It's truly life-changing once you begin to view the world through this miraculous lens. When you are going through something challenging and your life has been shaken up unexpectedly, you can view it from a new perspective once you understand how the universe works in this way, because you realize everything is leading you somewhere for your ultimate good. Even if in the moment you have no clue why it's happening or where you are headed, you can look back to see the guidance in your past and know that whatever is occurring has a purpose. When I hit roadblocks or am faced with a new challenge, the first thing that always comes to mind for me is this: I don't know why this is happening, but I know there is a reason and I'll figure it out eventually. I know it's leading me somewhere good.
Oh, wow. I'm so glad that you're sharing this today. This is kind of, I mean, like, I am completely resonating with everything you say. And I almost cried when you were talking about the hearts because I literally see hearts everywhere. And I used to collect, it used to be rocks when I was hiking, and then I would collect them. And then my pockets were too heavy. So then I started just leaving them where they're at and maybe propping them up on another rock so someone else could see it, or I take a picture of it. Now I have so many pictures of hearts, whether it be I cut myself and I put a napkin on there and then it stops bleeding and there's a heart in the blood, or, like all kinds of different hearts. My friends always give me things that are hearts. A friend of mine just gave me a toe ring that has hearts on it because they know that I'm a heart finder. But I'm always saying that that means that I'm being supported. I'm on the right track. I'm being, love is raining down. You know what I'm saying? I always see that as a message. And that's why I was like, oh my God, I'm going to cry when you were reading
It's so
that.
true though. And even if you think about it from, even if you take that down to like a science perspective, how you're viewing that is changing the chemistry in your body. And it's making good things happen within the chemistry of your body, which is going to help you heal faster and going to help you manifest your next thing or whatever. Like the more good stuff we have going on, the more good stuff we're drawing in. So
Absolutely. I agree with that. I totally agree. When you say something and it's negative, the universe is like, oh, you want more of that, huh? So
yes,
here's more of that. Or if you're
yes.
like, if you can switch the wording just a little bit, like, why is this happening to me? Or like, if you switch that to, look what's happening for me, then more good stuff is coming. And it's just
Yeah.
amazing how that works. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for bringing that book. Do you have more to read with us?
I do. I was going to skip over a little bit because to keep it in good timing, but there's still some more really good stuff in here. Okay. Why are signs and synchronicities so powerful that recognizing it can help people move forward in therapy when they've hit nothing but roadblocks before? It gives us proof that we are not alone and that life is not random. It proves that there is a force working on our behalf, trying to get through to us so our lives can be easier. It boosts our faith in the universe and in our own future, and it allows us to face unexpected circumstances with confidence, knowing everything we experience in our lives is leading us somewhere good. We live in a very uncertain world. It's not possible to accurately predict everything that lies before us, no matter how psychic someone may be. Every day we face uncertainty about what could happen next, and this way of living is a breeding ground for fear. We all fall victim to it at one time or another, and for many people, it's becoming the standard way of navigating life. We worry about what is coming next or what might not be coming next. We fear for our own futures and for the futures of those we love. What if we or they make a mistake? What if we or they head down a path that leads to pain and sorrow? It's so easy to become caught up consciously and subconsciously waiting for the next crisis to occur, which only creates more crisis. Recognizing and understanding signs and synchronicity can provide relief from all of that. It offers us a dose of certainty in the midst of uncertainty. It helps us find faith in the face of fear and provides reassurance when we need to keep moving forward. It's a gentle reminder that we are not alone in this world. It gives meaning to events that may seem meaningless at first, and it provides guidance when we don't know where to turn next. It opens up a whole new way of viewing life and the world we live in, giving us confidence in the future, no matter what may come our way. And then she talks a little bit about calling in higher helpers. So, we all have the angels, guides, our loved ones that have passed, their team. Oh, here's something else she talks about. You can call in help from anybody. So I'll just read it. I forgot about this part and I'm like, I need to start doing that more in my life. So, okay. It's this team of people, angels, guides, and loved ones, who are sending the signs and synchronicities and helping orchestrate events to lead us where we are meant to go in this life. But communication goes both ways. Yes, even if we don't ask them, they are sending us signs and trying to get our attention so we make decisions for our highest good. But there are times they need us to specifically ask in order for them to intervene. And when we get into the habit of doing so, the signs and synchronicities really kick into high gear. What is important to know about this spiritual board, so she calls that the angels, the guides, and then our loved ones that have passed on are your spiritual board.
Okay, that's
right? Like that. Yeah. We have the ability to call on any spirit or soul, whether we knew them in this life or not, to assist us and join the board for either a temporary stay or a full-time position. For example, if you're working on an invention or the creation of something new, why not call in the spirit of Benjamin Franklin or Albert Einstein? If you work with computers and need help solving a problem, call on Apple founder Steve Jobs. If you are you an artist? Call in Pablo Picasso, Vincent van Gogh, or Leonardo da Vinci. If you are trying to heal the body or cultivate self-love, the late Hay House founder, Louise Hay, would be a great spirit to work with and join your board. In fact, Wayne Dyer confirmed this after his own death, which I discovered when I interviewed his daughters for a cover story in the magazine. They shared many messages they had received from him since his passing in August of 2015. One of the most important, and one he asked them specifically to pass on to others for him, was that he would be there for anyone who called on him. They did not have to be a friend or family member to communicate with him, and all they needed to do was think of him and he would be there. That's pretty amazing. That gave me chills.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Also, if you don't know who your individual guides are, don't stress yourself out about it. You can call them in to help you collectively, which is how I start out every prayer for help. She has a lot of examples of prayers in here for your guides, for archangels. Like there's a lot of different exercises in here to help you deepen your spirituality and connect with your guides. So I would definitely recommend reading the whole book. Let's see. It's important to note that you can call on any solar spirit that was part of any religion or belief system, even if you do not follow or practice that religion. For example, if you were not brought up Catholic, you can still call on St. Jude, who is the patron saint of hopeless cases, or Saint Joseph, who is the patron saint of workers. If you were brought up in the Jewish religion, you can still call on the Hindu god Ganesh, who helps remove obstacles, or the fertility goddess Rhea for help getting pregnant. Religion only exists on the physical world, in the physical world. On the other side of the veil, we are all one and all connected, which means we are all here to support one another. I was recently teaching an online class and talking about calling in elevated help as one of the ways to handle overwhelm and stress, as well as solve a problem. One of my students, a photographer, had been trying for weeks to fix something with one of her cameras. She remembered my teachings on elevated help and called in George Eastman, the American entrepreneur who founded the Eastman Kodak Company, for assistance. Within an hour of asking for help, she suddenly thought of trying something she hadn't before, and it worked. She had struggled for weeks with this camera, and one prayer provided her with the answer in an hour. Another student experiencing money troubles after healing from a health issue decided to call in her guides along with goddess Lakshmi, who is the Hindu goddess of prosperity and financial wealth. Shortly after asking for help, all the money she needed for the next 2 months of living expenses showed up in less than 3 hours. That is the power of calling in higher help. Your team is ready and willing to help you at any time. All you need to do is ask. Whether you are struggling with a major crisis, such as a health diagnosis or the loss of a job, or you just need help in the moment to get the snowplow or lawnmower started, if you ask for it, help will always come, and answers will come to you through signs and synchronicities. That is, I remember even in my own healing journey with, in my training and guidance from my mentors, that was a big thing to learn, that just ask for it. You just ask for help, and help is always available. And the first time that I was told that, I was like, that sounds too easy. Like that's it. And that really is it. But you have to ask. You have to ask for the help you need.
Right. I agree. And thank you for saying Steve Jobs, because I have been having difficulty with stuff
Technical.
on the computer. So now I'm going to be like, hey, Steve, bro, I need you to come down and help me out here.
Yes.
Thanks for saying that, because I wouldn't have thought of that if he wouldn't have said his name. But I do absolutely agree with all of this. And, thank you so much for sharing all of that, because I feel like this message is going to help a lot of people who are seeking, a different way of thinking, and a way of, expanding their awareness and their curiosity, because this is where it all starts. Like if you found this video on YouTube because of the title, and you were curious as to what it is, maybe you're a spiritual seeker, maybe you're looking for answers to something. I started down the spiritual path years ago because I was curious. I spent many years in a Roman Catholic house, and I spent many years running from a Roman Catholic religion, just to find out, as I was seeking other things, and like I had said in a previous video, it's all the same. So when you say on the other side of the veil that they're all in it together, that puts a whole new meaning to the bumper sticker I have on the back of my car that says, we're all in this together.
Yes. Yeah. That was always my issue growing up, was I was very curious and I wanted to know why. And when there was no answer to that question, I wasn't okay with that. So, for me later, that's why I was seeking out more. I just wanted to know why. Give me an answer that makes sense. And the answers that I found through working with the universe and with my guides have given me a lot more solid answers to that question of why than anything before. And I could always see with religion, I grew up Catholic, and it was, it was very firm, very rigid in this is what we believe. But then I could see the other religions were very firm in what they believed. But the message is always, God is unconditional love and love your neighbor, but love your neighbor only if they're the same religion as me.
Yeah.
I got
There's so many
here.
wars and death and everything because of the division between this box and this box and this box,
Yes.
and I say box because that is how rigid it is and stuff. So Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So, let me ask, like, there's a thought that I had when you had said something, you just ask and you were reading off how a couple of things had come in the hours. But I just would like to reiterate that it doesn't always come. And if somebody does try to just ask and they don't get their answer or their support within a couple of hours, what do you think? I mean, don't get discouraged, right? I mean,
Don't get discouraged because, I mean, because no answer is also an answer,
yeah.
right? So the answer might be now's not a good time for the thing that you are wanting, or there's more and you need to wait. And
Mhm,
it's not, well, that only works for other people. That is not the truth. The truth is it works for all of us all the
mhm.
time. We just may not like the answer, or we choose not to see the answer because we were rigid in it has to be this, right? So like um there are ways that you can practice this, when you go into a parking lot, look for a parking spot, expect the parking spot, ask
Mhm.
for help with the parking spot. That's like a simple, really in the moment one where you can practice and gain your confidence and your training wheels, right? But if you ask for, oh, one time um I asked for seeing a hummingbird because I was going, this is a kind of a long story, so I'll try to make it really condensed. So I had a feeling that a friend of mine needed to help an earthbound soul ascend. And I hadn't helped somebody do that before. I knew how to do it. I'd experienced it myself, but I hadn't helped somebody else and I wasn't fully comfortable with it, but I kept feeling the feeling. So I was like, okay, give me a sign. If I'm supposed to, and I was meeting her at a labyrinth, which is how you do that. So I was like, give me a sign. If I'm supposed to do this with her, I want to see a hummingbird. Well, I had just put the hummingbird feeder out for the year, but the hummingbirds don't come the day you put the feeder out. It's usually out there for a week or two before the hummingbirds come. So I looked at that and I kind of laughed because I thought, "Psh, well, you set yourself up for a no there, but that's okay because I wasn't really rushing to do this thing anyway." So as I drove to the labyrinth to meet her, they had recently built a new one at the same location, and I got a little bit lost because it wasn't in the same spot as the old one. And as I'm driving around, and now I'm late, and I'm like looking around, looking at all the signs, and one of the street signs was Hummingbird Lane.
Mm,
And there was my hummingbird, and it was right before I parked the car to meet her. And that was the yes, you are supposed to do this with this person. So you also have to be open in what is that answer? It may not look like what you have defined it in your mind,
mhm.
because that hummingbird street sign certainly didn't look like a hummingbird at my
Right.
perimeter, right? But it was a clear sign.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like because there's times when I've been like I really need this, but when you word it that way, like I really need this, it's you're not putting off the right energy. So when
Yeah.
you ask, like I would like this, this would assist me and aid me in what I'm doing. That and then keeping the curiosity and the mind open to seeing signs because it might not be just a flat out, you know, um
Yeah.
obvious sign. It might not be like here's $1,000 just dropped into your bank account.
Yeah.
It might be you need to follow this sign and follow that sign and then you'll get to it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
yeah, I wanted to just point that out for people not to be discouraged when things don't come. We're not the little baby crying for the
Mhm.
candy at the grocery store and the parents just try to shut them up and give them the candy just to shut them up.
Yeah, that's not
We
how the
need to be the
universe, the
child
divine doesn't work
with,
like that.
yeah, we need to be that curious child with the wide open eyes and the curiosity. And that's
Yeah.
been my motto this year is live with curiosity, live with childlike curiosity. So
Yeah.
I'm really loving this conversation and how is this going? I would like to ask you, I'm going to cry again. I'd like to ask you a question. Would you like to be my co-host on this show?
I would love that. I would love that so much, Rose.
Woo! Yay, thank you. I'm
Thank
crying
you for
because
the
I love you
invitation.
so much. So
We're
just wanted to
definitely soul sisters.
yes, we are definitely soul sisters. I just wanted to share with everybody how we met. So um I met so back in 2021, I was going to school online to become a cannabis health coach and at Cannabis Coaching Institute, and it was out of Colorado. Well, there were several people in this class. I think there was 30 or something in our cohort. And I was, still using and drinking at the time and everything. So I pretty much kept to myself. Although I did get a scholarship to go to CCI, I got a 50% scholarship because I wrote an essay of what I would do. And that would be to help people get off of drugs and alcohol with cannabis. At the time, I was still using. Um, I graduated 6 months later, and then it took a few more months after that before I actually was fed up and tired and said, I can't do this anymore, and started using the cannabis as medicine to get myself off of drugs and alcohol. So, in that process, we, as cannabis coaches, needed to practice our coaching skills with each other. And Jamie and I think Jamie asked me if she could practice with me, and I said sure. Well, her coaching, because she has already clean and sober from I don't know how long before, had started coaching me at her practices, turned into coaching me in my journey of becoming clean and sober. So this has been about 3 years now that we've been friends and online. And then just this past April, we got to meet in person. If you would like to add anything to that while I cry my brains out.
I just think that's a great example of the universe working for both of us, right? Because this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be practicing. I think what happened was we were practicing the calls, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the discovery call. And I
Mm-hmm.
never wanted to be a coach. I went to IIN, which is to be a health coach. That's not why I went there. I went there because my life was in the ditch and I needed to get it out. And I thought, if I'm studying health, which is something that I am passionate about when I'm not being unhealthy, then I will have to do better things because I'll feel like a hypocrite if I don't. So I had done that. It was a coaching program. Well, you have to coach somebody. Okay, well, I'll do this, because it's an assignment, but I'm not going to do that, right? So then we get to the CCI. I just wanted to learn about cannabis. Coaching is in the name of that organization. And I was like, what? Another coaching program? So we were practicing discovery calls and I remember at the end you were like, I could really use a coach. And I was like, I could really use more practice coaching because I guess I'm supposed to be doing this. And I learned so much and I feel like you learned so much too. And just to have started at that place where we were both in a very different place than we are today, and then fast forward to today feels so amazing. Like I feel so blessed to have known you at both places because you are just radiant and on your path now. And I would only know you that way, right? But to know that I got to see the struggle and the blossom. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And to be a part of it also feels just magical. So I couldn't be happier to be sitting here with you today.
Oh, thank you. This goes to show the synchronicity,
Yeah.
and then the synchronicity then, and then, we kind of went a little bit away from each other and then came back, and we come back and we're doing the same thing with sound healing and stuff again. It's like the synchronicity is bringing us back together again. So I'm really excited to keep you in my life more often now.
Same,
Um,
same.
and thank you so much for agreeing to come on here, and thank you for agreeing to be my co-host, because I feel like we can, really be messengers to people who are seeking spirituality, because we are both on that path. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for creating the space and the opportunity. You keep showing me the next step and then I just keep saying yes. So thank you for that.
Keep saying yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Can you hold that book up so people can see
Yeah.
it? And then I'm gonna put I'll put the link in where you can get that into the comments. So thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah. It's easy to read. It's like she's just talking to you, and then, the little exercises and little prayer templates so you can customize it for yourself. It was a good intro to Universe 101 for me.
Okay, nice. Oh, good. This is so exciting. All righty. Well, in 2 weeks, 2 and 2, like Chuck Willery used to say. In 2 weeks, we'll be on here again. We'll see you all again with a new book and a new discussion. So thank you so much for joining us. Namaste. The love and light within me sees and honors that love and light within you. And Jai Bhagwan, victory to your spirit.